I unlocked my front door with a smile on my face. 30 minutes later, I was standing on the sidewalk, barefoot, holding my car keys, while my own family locked me out of the house I paid for. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how a small family dinner turned into the most brutal betrayal of my life. The text came from my mother on a Tuesday afternoon. "Sweetheart, can we use your house for small dinner this Friday? Just immediate family. Nothing fancy." I stared at the message longer than I should have. My parents lived in a cramped apartment across town. My older brother, Daniel, was in between jobs again. My younger sister, Lauren, was planning something she refused to explain. And me? I was the responsible one. The one who worked overtime. The one who bought a house alone at 29. The one everyone came to when they needed space or money or silence. So I typed back, "Of course. You know you're always welcome." That was my first mistake. Friday came fast. I left work early to clean, vacuumed the living room, wiped the kitchen counters twice. I even lit the candle my late father had once gifted me before he passed, vanilla and cedarwood. The smell of home. By 6 o'clock, cars began lining the street. My mother arrived first, kissing my cheek like nothing in the world was wrong. "You look tired," she said softly. "Work," I replied. "Same as always." Then Daniel showed up, no greeting, just a nod, already walking inside like the place belonged to him. Lauren came next, dressed like she was attending a celebration, not a casual dinner. I noticed the heels, the makeup, the way she avoided my eyes. Something felt off. Dinner started normally. We laughed. We ate. We talked about nothing important. But then my mother stood up. She clinked her glass gently. "We need to discuss something," she said. I felt my stomach tighten. Families don't say that unless something is about to break. "You know how hard it's been for Daniel," my mother continued. Daniel leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "I've been trying," he added. "But things haven't worked out." I stayed quiet. Because in my family, silence had always been safer than honesty. Then my mother turned to me. "You have more than you need," she said. "And we're so proud of you for that." That sentence should have felt like love. Instead, it felt like a setup. Lauren finally spoke. "We think it's only fair," she said carefully, "that Daniel stay here for a while." I blinked. "Here?" I asked. "You mean visit?" Daniel laughed. "No. Live." The room went quiet. "Excuse me?" I said. My mother smiled, tight, rehearsed. "Just until he gets back on his feet," she said. "You have the space. You're barely home anyway." I looked around. At the family photos on the wall. At the couch I'd saved for. At the house I'd worked 2 jobs to afford. "This is my home," I said slowly. I didn't agree to that. That's when my brother stood up. "You don't get to say no," he said. I laughed because I thought he was joking. He wasn't. My mother slid a folder across the table. "We already handled the paperwork," she said. I opened it. My name was there. My signature. Only, I hadn't signed it. My heart started pounding. "What is this?" I asked. Daniel smirked. "Power of attorney," he said. "Temporary. You signed it months ago." I hadn't. But I remembered the day my mother had asked me to sign some hospital insurance forms when my aunt was sick. My hands started shaking. "This isn't legal," I said. "You tricked me." Lauren shrugged. "Don't be dramatic." Then my mother said the words I will never forget. "It would be best if you stayed somewhere else for a while." I stared at her. "You want me to leave?" I asked. She nodded. "Just for now," she said. "Think of it as helping your family." Daniel walked toward the front door. "I'll change the locks tomorrow," he said casually. That's when I stood up. "No," I said. "This is my house." Daniel stepped closer. "Not anymore." The argument exploded. Voices raised. Accusations thrown. At some point, my mother began crying. "Why are you being so selfish?" she asked. "Selfish. For wanting to stay in my own home." Lauren opened the door. "Take a break," she said. "Cool off." I stepped outside, just to breathe. Just for a second. The door closed behind me. Then I heard it. Click. The lock. I turned the handle. It didn't move. I knocked. Nothing. I knocked harder. Still nothing. I could hear laughter inside. Daniel's voice. My mother's. I stood there in the dark, barefoot, holding my keys that no longer worked. That was the moment I realized something terrifying. This dinner was never about family. It was about removing me, and they thought I'd accept it. They were wrong. I didn't scream. I didn't bang on the door. I didn't call the police that night. That's what they expected. Instead, I sat in my car across the street, hands shaking, watching the lights in my house glow warmly, as if nothing had happened, as if they hadn't just erased me. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. I wasn't going to fight loud. I was going to fight smart. I slept in my car that night, not because I had nowhere else to go, but because I needed time to think. By sunrise, I had a plan. The first call I made was to a lawyer, a woman named Rachel Myers. Calm voice, sharp questions, zero patience for nonsense. I laid everything out. The dinner, the folder, the forged signature, the lockout. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "They didn't just betray you. They committed multiple felonies." I closed my eyes. "Forgery?" I asked. "Fraud," she corrected. "Identity misuse. Illegal eviction. And abuse of power of attorney, if that document is fake." Fake. That word felt like oxygen. By noon, Rachel had copies of everything. And by evening, she called me back. "Your signature doesn't match," she said. "Not even close." My mother had forged it. My own mother. Rachel moved fast. A cease and desist was delivered the next morning. A temporary restraining order followed. And most importantly, a court order granting me immediate access to my property. I didn't tell my family. Not a word. 3 days later, I returned to the house. Not alone. Rachel, a locksmith, and a police officer. Daniel opened the door, wearing my robe. He froze when he saw me. "What is this?" he snapped. The officer stepped forward. "Sir, you need to step aside." My mother appeared behind him, pale. "This is a misunderstanding," she said quickly. Rachel smiled. "No," she replied. "This is documentation." She handed over the papers. Daniel's face drained of color. "You can't do this," he said. She agreed. The officer cut him off. "The homeowner is reclaiming her residence," he said. "You have 1 hour to collect your belongings." Silence. Then chaos. Lauren started crying. My mother grabbed my arm. "You're tearing this family apart," she whispered. I looked at her. Really looked. "No," I said. "You already did." They left with trash bags. I watched from the doorway as my brother carried his life out of my house. And for the first time since that dinner, I felt steady. But I wasn't done. Because betrayal like that doesn't end with eviction. It ends with truth. Rachel filed a civil case. Forgery. Financial abuse. Emotional damages. And because Daniel had used my address to apply for credit while living there, federal interest got involved. That's when my phone started ringing. Lauren called first. "Please," she cried. "Drop the case. Mom's sick." I stayed silent. Daniel texted, "You're dead to us." My mother left a voicemail. "I didn't raise you to be this cruel." I deleted it. The court date came faster than they expected. And when the judge reviewed the evidence, my mother broke down. "I just wanted to help my son," she sobbed. The judge leaned forward. "At the expense of your daughter?" he asked. Silence. Judgment was swift. They were ordered to pay damages. The forged document was permanently invalidated. And a restraining order was issued, no contact. But the real revenge? It wasn't legal. It was personal. A week later, I hosted a dinner. In my house. I invited friends, neighbors, colleagues, people who actually cared. I posted one photo online. Just one. A candlelit table. A caption. "Grateful for chosen family." My mother saw it. I know she did. That night, I walked through my home slowly, touched the walls, sat on the couch, locked the door from the inside. And for the first time in weeks, I slept peacefully. They thought they could remove me quietly. They were wrong. Because the truth about betrayal is this: family doesn't give you the right to destroy someone. And love doesn't require silence. They tried to take my house. I took back my life. People think revenge ends in court. It doesn't. That's just where the paperwork stops. The real consequences come later. In the silence, in the unanswered calls, in the realization that the door they slammed shut was the last one they'll ever touch again. The house felt different after they were gone. Not empty. Clean. For weeks, I found traces of them everywhere. A coffee mug Daniel used and never washed. A scarf my mother left on the chair. A broken picture frame Lauren had knocked over during the argument. I didn't throw these things away immediately. I let them sit. Because healing doesn't happen by erasing the past. It happens by facing it without fear. Therapy came next. Not because I was weak. Because I was done pretending I was strong enough to survive betrayal alone. My therapist asked me something during our third session. If they called today and apologized, would you open the door? I didn't answer right away. Then I said, no. And I surprised myself by smiling. The restraining order worked. Too well. They couldn't reach me, so they reached around me. Distant relatives. Family friends. People who had no idea what really happened. At first, they said things like, "They're still your family. Your mother is heartbroken. Blood is blood." I stopped explaining. Because people who minimize betrayal have never been destroyed by it. Months passed. Daniel moved in with a friend. Then another. Then another. No one keeps a man who burns bridges. Once the smoke clears. Lauren deleted her social media. Too many questions. Too many people who had seen my post and put the pieces together. My mother? She sent one final letter. Handwritten. Apologetic. Vague. It ended with, "I hope one day you'll understand why I did what I did." I folded it carefully and put it away. Some closures don't require replies. Something unexpected happened in the quiet. I started thriving. I took a promotion, renovated the kitchen, planted flowers in the front yard. Neighbors who barely noticed me before started stopping by. "You seem lighter," one said. I was. Because when people who betray you leave, they take their weight with them. One evening, I hosted another dinner. Smaller this time. No speeches. No clinking glasses. No hidden agendas. Just laughter. At one point, someone asked, "Do you miss them?" I thought for a moment. Then I said, "I miss the idea of them." And that was the truth. The final encounter happened almost a year later. At a grocery store. I turned down an aisle and saw my mother. Older. Smaller. Tired. She froze when she saw me. We stared at each other in silence. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I nodded once. Not forgiveness. Not anger. Acknowledgement. And I walked away. That night, I stood in my doorway and realized something powerful. They no longer lived in my head. They were just people who used to know me. Here's the part no one tells you about revenge stories. The win isn't watching them fall. The win is realizing you no longer need to watch at all. They thought kicking me out would break me. Instead, it removed the last thing holding me back. They taught me that family can betray you, and also taught me that survival doesn't require their permission.